Hi kids! Welcome to Restoration Loudoun's KidsLife Online. Today we're continuing our series about kids' life during the pandemic, talking about arguments with our brothers and sisters. Let's start by reading a book together. The book we're going to read today is called The Berenstain Bears Get in a Fight by Stan and Jan Berenstain. When two small bears don't get along, the grown-ups worry. What went wrong? The Berenstain Bears get in a fight. Most mornings in bear country, the sun rose to greet the day, and the mockingbird sang its copycat songs outside an upstairs window of the bear's treehouse. And inside the treehouse, Brother Bear and Sister Bear would wake up. Brother and sister usually got along very well. They took turns nicely in the bathroom. They said please and thank you at breakfast. They often sat together on the school bus. And after school, they worked together happily on their special project, their own backyard treehouse. But one gray morning, brother and sister didn't get along well at all. Maybe it was the weather, or maybe it was because the mockingbird slept late. But whatever it was, Brother and Sister Bear got into a big fight. Sister Bear opened her eyes and stretched. Then she sat up and let her legs dangle over the edge of her bed, right in Brother Bear's face. She didn't do it to be rude. It was just one of those things that happens with bunk beds. But that morning, Brother was not in a very good mood. "Sister," he shouted, "get your dopey feet out of my face." Ooh, that's not a very nice thing to say, is it? "My feet aren't dopey, and they're not in your face," she shouted back. "Get your dopey face out of my face," snarled Brother. "You shut up," snapped Sister. We don't say that, do we? And before Brother could answer, she skipped into the bathroom ahead of him. She took a very long time, brushing her teeth, washing up, and brushing her fur. "You'd better come out of that bathroom," shouted Brother, banging on the door. "Brother Bear," said Papa, coming out of his bedroom, "you know better than to shout at your sister." "But she's taking too long in the bathroom," complained Brother, "and she's doing it on purpose." When Brother raised his fist to bang on the door again, it opened, and out came Sister, all spruced up. "Good morning, Papa," she said, as nice as you please. "Grrr," said Brother. Brother and Sister didn't say please and thank you that morning at breakfast, because they weren't speaking to each other. And they didn't sit together on the school bus. Sister sat in the front, and Brother sat way in the back. That afternoon, they made a line down the middle of their backyard tree house to show which half was whose. It wasn't much fun sitting up there in their treehouse, not speaking. Especially when it began to rain. Hard. Later, they kept on being mean by taking back the things they usually shared. Sister took back her modeling clay, which Brother had made into dinosaurs, and rolled it into one big lump. Brother took back his trucks and planes and put them on the top shelf where Sister couldn't reach them. They got so angry that they forgot they weren't speaking and began shouting at each other even louder than before. Then Papa lost his temper and began shouting at them to stop shouting. The neighbors didn't know which was worse, the big storm or the racket coming from the bear's house. Mama had had quite enough. She put 2 fingers to her mouth and whistled very, very loudly. Papa and the cubs were so surprised that they stopped shouting. I didn't know that you could whistle like that, Mama, said Sister. Well, I can, and I can also tell you, said Mama sternly, that I've had quite enough of this foolish fighting. Why, I doubt you two even remember what you're fighting about. The cubs tried to remember, but they couldn't. Mama took the cubs into her lap. Everybody gets into an argument once in a while, she said. Even folks who love each other very much. You and I don't have arguments, said Papa. Oh, yes, we do, said Mama. No, we don't, argued Papa. We're having one right now, said Mama, about whether or not we have arguments. While Papa thought that one over, Mama went on to say that occasional arguments are part of living together. We get angry, even call each other names and say things we really don't mean, and after a while, it's over. Like the storm? Asked Sister. The rain had almost stopped, and the sun was beginning to shine through the clouds. Yes, said Mama, like the storm. Look, said Papa. The sun, shining on the last of the rain, had made a rainbow. A rainbow is something very beautiful that happens after a storm, said Mama, looking at the cubs. You mean like making up after a big fight? Sort of, said Mama. So brother and sister hugged and made up, and got along just beautifully. Until the next time, anyway. Do you guys remember what a rainbow comes from? God put a rainbow in the sky after the ark to tell Noah that he was never going to flood the earth again. And in this story, the rainbow comes out after the storm and reminds brother and sister how much they love each other. What else reminds you how much you love your brother or your sister? Think about that. Ah! What's wrong, Pegasus? Didn't you like the story?
No, it's not that. Just, I am so mad at my sister, I could scream.
Well, let's try taking a deep breath instead, so you can calm down. That way, we can talk about some of the things we have to learn today about a sibling argument.
What's an argument? I like peppermint.
No, it's not a flavor. It's when you get mad at somebody, like somebody in your family, or they get mad at you.
You mean like my dodo bird sister?
Pegasus? First of all, I don't think you should call your sister those kind of names.
Why not? She calls me names. She hurts my feelings. The other day she told me I was so ugly I could go trick-or-treating dressed as myself.
That's not a very nice thing to say, is it?
Nope, that's what I said back. Oh, you're so dumb that your dog teaches you tricks.
Pegasus, that's not the way you're supposed to respond. I don't think you should say things like that to your sister.
It doesn't matter. We're never talking to each other again.
Pegasus, that's not the way families are supposed to act. We're learning in our lesson today that God wants us to get along with each other and love each other. We have to try and make peace with people we're having arguments with.
Yeah, but she's the one who started it.
Yeah, that may be true, but Jesus teaches us we should try to make peace with everyone. In the Bible, it says, do your part to live in peace with everyone as much as possible. Romans 12:1. We can't wait for the other person to apologize. We have to do our part and forgive them so the family can be put back together.
But that's hard. She hurt my feelings.
I know, it is hard to do, especially when we're spending so much time together like we are during the lockdown. But you know what? You said some things that hurt her feelings as well. It's time for you to make the first move and make peace.
You're right. I should act more like Jesus, huh? He's always ready to forgive me when I mess up.
Now you're talking. I think you need to go take care of that right away, don't you?
I do. Thanks for talking some sense into me.
Thanks, Pegasus. See you later.
Bye.
Well, Pegasus needs some help trying to figure out how to get along with his sister, huh? Let's talk about a Bible story where that happens. So, Abraham's son, Isaac, had a wife named Rebecca. She couldn't have babies. So Isaac prayed to God for her. Pray, pray, pray. And the Lord heard the prayer. Rebecca got pregnant with twins. While she was pregnant, the babies fought inside her tummy. And when she asked God, "What is happening? Why?" He said, "There are 2 nations inside you, and the older one will serve the younger one." The 2 babies were born. And the first was Esau, covered with red hair. He was older and liked to hunt in the fields. Jacob, the second one, was born holding Esau's heel. He stayed with his mother near the tents. So one day Jacob was cooking soup, and Esau came back from hunting and really wanted the soup. "I really want the soup." Jacob said, "You can only have some if you give me the rights as firstborn." Do you know what that means? Back then, the oldest son got all the land, a special blessing from the father, and was the leader of the family after the father died. That's a lot of stuff, huh? Esau was so hungry, though, he said, "Sure, why not? Just give me some soup." Well, so Jacob gave him some soup, and that was that. But much later, Isaac was so old that he was basically blind, and he told Esau, "I might die soon, so you should make me a yummy meal from hunted meat the way I like it." And Isaac said he would give Esau the birthright blessing. So while Esau was out hunting, Rebecca called Jacob, and told him to trick Isaac by pretending to be Esau and steal the blessing. So Jacob did. He put on Esau's clothes and put animal fur on his arms so that they were all hairy like Esau's. And he carried in some food that Rebecca cooked in the special way that Isaac liked it. Isaac, believed it was Esau and gave his special blessing. Blessing, blessing, blessing. But it was actually Jacob. When Esau got back, he went in, and Isaac said, "Oh no, I already gave away the blessing." He couldn't take it back or anything. And Esau was so mad. I mean, so mad. "He tricked me into giving away everything. When I find him, when my father dies, I will kill Jacob." So Jacob ran away and stayed away for years and years. Isaac died, and Rebecca died. And only when Jacob had 4 wives and 12 sons and a whole lot of animal herds of his own did he come back. When he did come back, Jacob heard Esau was nearby. Should he ignore Esau and stay away? Or should he try to end their family feud? Their argument. He sent a message to Esau asking him to accept them back. He heard that Esau was coming to meet them with 400 men. True. That sounded like he was going to attack, huh? So Jacob was scared and split his family and herds into 2 camps. So at least one of them would survive. He prayed to God for help. Pray. Then sent a fabulous gift of goats. Oh, that's glue. And sheep. Oh, that's scissors. And camels and cows and donkeys to Esau, sending them ahead of them one by one, so they would make Esau a little bit more likely to accept Jacob and not kill him. The next day, when Jacob was walking, he saw Esau coming. Instead of attacking, Esau ran up and hugged his brother. He said, "You were gone so long." Jacob and his wives came up and bowed down before Esau, who asked, why did you bring those herds and those gifts? Jacob said, they were to please you, my master. He was trying to make Esau feel better about their argument and say, I'm sorry for stealing the blessing. And Esau said, no, you don't have to do that. I've got plenty. Keep them. But because Jacob really wanted to make sure that Esau had forgiven him, he begged Esau to keep the gift. So Esau accepted and showed that he really forgave Jacob and wouldn't try to kill him. Jacob did some not so great things in that story, huh? And Esau's response wasn't so perfect either. God doesn't want us to try and kill each other when we get mad. Of course not. What did Jacob do right, though? He separated himself from the situation so it wouldn't get worse. He waited until the person he'd been mean to had calmed down, and he made it clear that he was sorry for what he did. He asked God for help and waited for Esau to respond instead of forcing him to answer immediately. Because sometimes it takes some work to forgive someone, doesn't it? And it takes work to say you're sorry, too. But the last thing he did right was he stayed humble. He didn't yell at Esau for being mad at him or tell him all the wrong things he had done, but instead he bowed down like a servant. Do you remember hearing that part? You don't have to go to your brother or sister or bow down, but it's better not to be snippy or yell at them for all the things they said. Instead, just say a very kind and truthful, I'm sorry, or I forgive you. And hopefully, you 2 or 3 or 4 or however many siblings you have, you can come out to the other side and have your relationship better on the other side of it. The craft for today is a pretty simple one. You can either take this and fold it in half and just color it and make a card. It says, we screwed up and I'm sorry. Can we repair the damage? It's kind of funny, but it also is a very humble way to say, I'm sorry and I forgive you. Or you can take this page and cut out all the little pieces and make a toolbox of your own to go on a card. And if you cut right here, you fold it in half and cut along this green line, then you can slide your screwdriver inside. Inside. There we go. And slide some screws inside. Get it? We screwed up. And it'll make it look like it's actually a toolbox that's holding things. And then you can attach it to your card. And this is a nice way to say, I'm sorry or I forgive you when you can't think of the words when you're with a person, or if you're afraid that you're going to start yelling at them again. So you can just make this card and then read it to them, or you can hand it to them if they're still mad at you, and it can start the process of getting over the argument. During this pandemic, life can be tough, especially when we're having trouble getting along. But if we ask God for help and humbly approach another person to ask for forgiveness, we can get through it to the other side. I hope you enjoyed today's Kids Life Online, and I'll see you next week.